Well, it's great to finally be able to say spring is here, so let's get started by talking about planting. Ryan Bates is here from Ted's Gardens, and thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We're going to start taking your questions in just a minute, but first we want to get a look at some of this gorgeous stuff you brought in, some great ideas for getting your garden ready.
Yeah, it's spring now, so I thought I'd bring a few things along that had some flowers in addition to talking to about planting a little bit today. We've got some ranunculus over here. Really neat plant, huge flowers for such a little teeny plant.
I love that idea of, 1, 2, 3
planters.
and a little planter. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, we're also forcing some tulips in the garden center now, so we'll have a great variety of bulbs you can have that'll have spring color for your planters early.
Very nice.
Violas and pansies, you can get those now too. And in fact, you can even put those in containers and put them outside right now.
Really? They can go outside?
They can take temperatures down to about 28, 27.
Do these blooms last all season?
They will till it gets hot. Once we get hot, they're done.
Okay, so you can trade them out at that point.
Yep.
I was going to ask you too about the, what did you call them?
The ranunculus.
Ranunculus?
Yeah.
Are those blooms, do those last a long time?
They'll last for a long time, yeah.
Really?
They last for quite a while.
Gorgeous. Okay, you're going to show us how to...
Yeah, as for planting,
there's
been some changes in how you're supposed to plant plants. Basic rule of thumb is you want to dig your hole about twice as wide as the pot, but the same depth, or a little less, a little shallower, because you actually want that ball to maybe stick up just a little in case it settles a little bit. Then what you want to do is, this is where the changes come in. Once you get that plant, you want to get it out of the pot, and you can see on this one it's got a lot of real heavy roots on the outside.
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of times these roots, especially on trees, will be circling. And if you don't get rid of those circling roots, they'll actually develop into a large root, and it will girdle off the tree, and your trees will do terrible. And you won't see that a lot of times for 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
No.
And that's real bad. So what they're recommending now, we used to say just slice that root system with the knife. Now what we're recommending is you actually go in and cut back about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, depending on the size of the ball, and trim that all off. Get rid of all those circling roots. It leaves you fresh root ends. Those fresh root ends will usually send out 2 or 3, sometimes more than that, roots, and they'll tend to go more straight out than in a circle.
All right. Okay, and I wanted to ask, how soon after you cut do you need to put it in the ground, like right away?
You want to put it right away.
And then water the heck out of it, right?
Water the heck out of it. Put your soil back around, water it in good. Make sure you run your spade around the outside to remove any air pockets.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
I have Paula on the line with a question for us. Good morning, Paula.
Good morning.
What's your question?
We have rabbits that tend to eat all of our plants, and we're trying to figure out how we can get them to not eat our plants all the time.
Well, that's kind of a tough one. It depends on what you're talking about. If it's like a vegetable garden, usually fencing it in is really the best thing to do. If you're talking about trees and shrubs, there are some different repellents you can use. I showed some of those last fall when we talked about preparing them for winter and keeping the rabbits off of them over the winter. You can use, there's a product that's called cayenne pepper wax. And that you spray on the plant, and it will actually is a taste deterrent. So they'll come up and eat it, don't like it, so they'll go away from it. Another good one is liquid fence. Those are probably the 2 best. And sometimes you can mix the 2 together and get them to kind of cover everything.
Great. Okay. Thanks a lot for calling. And Kathy's on the line. Kathy, where are you from? What's your question?
I'm from Knoxville, and I have a dwarf daffodil plant, and I was wondering if I can put it outside right now, or should I wait a little while?
The dwarf daffodil, I take it you forced it in the house. So I would wait to put that out for a little bit longer. And then when you plant it, just go ahead and plant the whole thing in the ground. Sometimes they'll come back and bloom for you. Sometimes they won't the next year. So it kind of depends on if you want to waste, kind of spend the time doing that or not. Usually once they're forced, the bulbs they don't do very well when you put them back outside.
She's waiting days, weeks, months.
Oh, I would say probably, 3 weeks or so maybe.
3 weeks.
Wait until, about mid-April.
All right, Kathy, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
You can find Ted's Gardens in Cumming at the Old Cumming Apple Orchard. You can also call or go online. We have a link at kcci.com. Next week's topic, new plants for 2009.